In this video, we'll create platforms with different styles. We'll create walkways, stairs up, and platform detailing, stairs going down.
Hello and welcome to a video tutorial here on the channel. This week we're going to work with platforms. Everything from platform edges to all the detailing you need on platforms like clocks, signs, stairs going down and stairs going up, walkways, and everything you need on to complete the scene for any passenger scenario. And for this, I've been given the opportunity to try out the new Mono X2 from Anycubic. The Mono X has been like a flagship for Anycubic, and I have so many friends using it. And it's a really well-performing printer which allows you to print large stuff. So the question which popped up in my head was like, what could Anycubic add to this? But actually I was surprised when I got the printer, because they have managed to push the boundaries even further. The print plate is bigger, the resolution of the LCD display is higher, and also it's lighter, and also the package outline is more attractive than the old square bulky one. So this is really nice. I'm putting up a link where you can find more information on this printer. So if you're interested in getting the next generation of Mono X, check that out. It's available immediately for sale. So let's get on with our platform detailing.
Over the years, I've used a range of different materials building platforms. This is one of the better ones. It's a board used to glue photos on top of, commonly also found in shops. So if you're lucky, you can get them for free there. This is another common material I typically use. It's plywood 4mm. This is another one which I've also tried, well, this is cardboard, of course, and the advantage with it, it's easy to cut, even with scissors, so good for children, but it warps and skews heavily when exposed to humidity. So since we're typically plastering and gluing stuff on the model railroad, even pouring gypsum in, this is maybe not the optimal choice. A better choice is styrofoam. It's very easy to cut if you have a styrofoam cutter. If you don't, it's, well, maybe not a big advantage to use it. One big drawback with styrofoam platform is if you put a finger into it, well, then it has a permanent deformation. It's also a bit tricky and challenging to get the masts standing up in this material. It's well, not so good. Another board which is very useful for platforms is LDF or MDF wooden boards. It's basically compressed sawdust and glue. These boards are very hard, so they require power tooling for cutting and drilling. But once you have done that, you can just apply the plaster or joint putty over it to hide the structure, the original structure of this board. This is something you do also with the other materials. Once dry, you sand the surface smooth and then you're ready to paint it. It can either be painted with a paintbrush, preferably a wide flat paintbrush like I'm using here, or a roller, whatever you like. Then it's just to add the platform edges, and if your board is not thick enough, meaning 12, 14 or 16mm, which is the typical height of a HO scale platform, then you need some standoffs below it, which is a good idea because that simplifies routing of cables and things like that. And with that done, it's just to glue the platform edges in place. These platform edges are available in the set we're going to work with in a minute. So we're coming to that. But there is a range of different platform edges available. It's just to print them. If you have a curved platform, then you just warm it a bit with a hairdryer and shape it. Alright, so coming back to this set of 3D model, it's found on CG Trader, which is a site for 3D models, and the user called Model Railroad 3D. The set itself is called PLA-003 and contains a big number of useful items for platforms. So we're going to download that, so I'm adding this to chart and proceed to checkout. Once we have paid and got the download, it looks like this. So it's a zip file or compressed file. What we need to do then is to extract all the files. I'm doing that into the same folder or USB memory I have in my computer, which is a thumb drive. Yeah, and here are all the files we have just purchased. For my main station, I'm considering to use this type of arrangement. It's platform stairs going up in kind of steel construction, looks like 50s or 60s. And well, this set contains all of the necessary parts. It's a modular system, so you can build whatever height and width you like, or what actually fits onto your model railroad. So let's get our Mono X2 started and print these parts out. The printing time for this is a few hours, and when ready it will pop up in the display. I'm ready, and the parts can then be removed from the print head. You see here still 2 hours remain of the print. I typically start these at night when I go to bed, and then they're ready in the morning when I wake up. So here they're coming now, like this. Awesome. To complete a full set of stairs, I needed 2 of these printouts. So I removed the print head from the printer and then removed the print out into a jar of isopropanol where I clean it. Once cleaned, well, meaning I removed all the loose resin which are on top, it looks like this. So what we need to do now is to remove the parts from the support plate. I typically cut the thicker supports and then I just peel it off. And once that is done, I post-cure it in my post-curer. You can also post-cure out in the sun if you have such things. Here in Sweden, we don't have all that much of that. Once cured, we need to prime this. For this, I'm using Tamiya Light Gray Fine Surface Primer or equivalent. You can also, of course, use your airbrush to prime, but it's way more time consuming than this. But this time I was out of this can of Tamiya, so I needed to prime using my airbrush. Otherwise, I do not recommend it. It's important to prime quite quickly to avoid warping and skewing of the parts. When the primer has dried, we can start the assembly. I typically sand the parts where I want to have my joint surface where they will join, because then I make sure to have a really flat and nice surface for gluing, and I use just fast-set glue to join these parts. So I have a few seconds for each before it sets, and the bond strength is tremendous using the 3D printed parts and fast-set glue. So it's a really fast assembly. I love working with these kits based on 3D printed parts. There's much fewer parts than if you buy plastic sets from the manufacturers like Faller, Auhagen or Walters. There are tons of parts, which, well, might be nice sometimes, but if you just want the stairs in place, then it's, well, this option is much better. This platform set from Model Railroad 3D includes a number of different length straight section walkways. By combining them in different ways, you can optimize for your layout and the distance you have between the tracks on your layout. So this was the selection for my layout. Now it's perfectly reaching over the tracks and into the street nearby. Alright, so you can see here I've now painted the entire stair and the walkways with gray. It's kind of basic gray, but we're gonna work on the details a bit. So one thing I wanted to do is to paint the concrete socket below this in a more concrete-like color than this steel gray I used for the rest. This is gunmetal from MIG. I'm dry brushing that onto the handrails just to give the appearance that they have different, more metal shine color than the surrounding structures. I'm using the same technique and color to enhance the appearance of the rivets of this structure. It kind of makes them pop a bit better. Then I use black acrylic paint and a very tiny paintbrush to create streaks along the edges of the walkways. Kind of gives the appearance that the stair's been standing here for a long time. I'm also using pastel chalk powders. So this is a chalk, dry pastel chalk in my left hand, which I scrape off some powder from and apply that using a makeup sponge. This makes the center part of the walkways more bright in color. Then we're ready to assemble the stairs on the layout. You see here, these do not come out completely flat from the printer, so I'm applying the joint putty into which I have mixed a portion of brown or concrete color just to get the same color as the concrete fundaments or sockets there. So I push them in and then I use a plaster to fix the surfaces so they're square. Then I glue the stairs to the platform using fast set glue, and once the plaster has dried, it's possible to paint it over with the platform color. And then we can add some detailing. These are sandboxes and of course some figures. Here's the 3D printed figure I just did and painted, and this is what it looks like. So pretty nice. And as said before, the cost for this set of stairs compared to buying it is only 1/10 once you have the printer in place. So being a model railroader, the 3D printer is probably the best investment I've made so far. This set also contains stairs going down into the platform. This is one of them. It prints in one piece. It's kind of 60s, 50s, 60s style. And this is a more modern variant with a concrete wall and then a low fence on top of that. So I will use this stair in a module I'm building. So I'm kind of recessing that into the platform, and it looks like this. So I think I will go anyway for the older style, the 50s. It looks very nice. I really like this look, but I need to fix this a bit. I don't want it to be all gray. The fence should be white, and I don't know if you noticed, but in this file package for the platform detailing, there is a file called graphics.pdf. If you print that, you can use the graphics in combination with the 3D printed items. And there is a end in the tunnel picture here, which I'm gluing in place using PVA glue. And then it looks like this. So very nice. If you want to make your own station name signs, then you will have to produce them on your own. There is no such in this graphic package from what I could see. The dimensions for each graphic is stated on the wireframe preview. And I'm gluing these in place also using PVA glue. So this module station will be called Karlberg. Yeah. Very nice. All we need to do now is to weather this somewhat. So I'm taking a tiny bit of burnt umber brown on my paintbrush, wipe most off on a piece of paper, and then I dry brush the sign. Thereby it looks more aged, and also it enhances the contour. The end gate has black plastic flaps, so I'm painting those. And you see here I've added already the clock. It's several variants available in the graphic package. And there are also variants of these displays, both this type of old CRT style display and the newer LED. I prefer the old one. This is a better match for my module. And there goes the end gates, and here is that. Yeah, it looks pretty awesome actually. 3D print plus some graphics. I must say that these packages or sets from Model Railroad 3D is really 3D printing 2.0. Looks very nice.
All right, I just love this modular approach to creating 3D models for these stairs and walkways. It allows you to adapt it to whatever your layout looks like in height and CC dimension between tracks. Using 3D print, you always have the parts on hand. All you need to do is hit print, and you get as many parts you like from the printer without virtually an extra cost except for the resin. And to print this complete walkway with stairs I did here in this video was like €2 or €3. So we're talking really massive cost reductions once you have a 3D printer in place. And this Mono X2 is excellent printers, but there are also more budget models like Mono 4K, which I saw now was on sale for €180 or $80, $180. So the cost for the printers is not all that high anymore. So I hope I've shared some inspiration to get you started with 3D print, unless you haven't already started to walk that path. I hope you have use for the information provided and the inspiration on this channel. If you do, please support the channel by becoming a patron. Get over there and set up a support account from like $1, $2 per month, or make a one-off donation using the PayPal dialog found in the video description below. And if you're not yet a subscriber, don't forget to subscribe and enable that little bell, and you will get a notification once next video gets published. Until that happens, see you.